Hey, this is Charlie from 4A Music, and today I'll be talking about vocal health and hygiene. Consistent and thoughtful vocal health and hygiene is the key to a long and productive singing career. The general rule here is, think like an athlete. Imagine you're a college or a pro athlete and do everything you need to do to stay healthy, avoid injury, and play at peak performance. That means get plenty of sleep, eat healthy foods, and exercise regularly, and take the time you need to clear your head, relieve stress, and be inspired. Let's start with the building block of life, staying hydrated. We've all been told to drink plenty of water, and we'll get to the why in a second, but the general goal has always been 6 to 8 8-ounce glasses of water each day. You may need more or less than that, but that's a good starting place. Most healthy people can stay well hydrated by drinking water and other fluids whenever they feel thirsty. The reason why singers in particular need to drink enough water is so that they hydrate the epithelium. The epithelium is a thin protective shell that encases your vocal folds. Adequate hydration is essential to normal phonation and to avoid excessive wear and tear of this protective layer. Many of us have not actually thought this through, but the water we drink doesn't go directly to our vocal folds. Water is absorbed in the stomach and small intestine, and it takes several hours for fluid levels in the body to respond to taking a drink, so it's important to make this a consistent habit. This also means that by the time you get up on stage or to the audition, your water bottle isn't going to do much to help you out. I mean, it might make you feel less nervous or cure dry mouth, but other than that, it's not going to do much for your voice. That being said, it's great to have a water bottle with you wherever you go. The most important piece of equipment any vocalist can have is a reusable water bottle like this. And if you have trouble remembering to drink water, drink on a schedule. Basically, if the epithelium dries out, it's not going to be able to protect your vocal folds, and it's going to be way easier for you to get injured or get sick. Along these same lines, breathing hot or dry air can accelerate the drying process. So consider getting a humidifier in the winter months or in dry climates, and if you can, breathe through your nose, which has the added benefit of also filtering the air, in addition to reducing some of this dehydration. Healthy speaking habits. Speaking and singing are physiologically the same thing, so having healthy technique when we speak is just as important as having healthy technique when we sing. One of the most important keys to having healthy speaking technique is to vary the pitch as you're talking. Most of us, especially in America,
speak on the lowest possible note in our range all day long without very much fluctuation in pitch at all.
This is basically the same thing as singing the lowest note in your range
all day long.
You can expect that you'd probably get pretty exhausted
and burnt out on that one note if that was the only note you were singing.
So vary the pitch. It doesn't mean that you have to talk like Mrs. Doubtfire. Hello! Hello! But it does mean that you can give a little bit more inflection as you're talking. This also has the added benefit of making people think that you're really excited to see them and be there doing the thing you're doing, which is super cool. Avoid vocal fry. Vocal fry is the lowest register of your voice, and it's characterized by deep, creaky, breathy sound, kind of like this. When you use vocal fry, you relax your vocal cords, but do not increase the amount of air you're pushing past your vocal folds. This produces slower vibrations and ultimately results in the lower creaky sound. Vocal fry seems to always creep in at the beginning of sentences, like, hey, what's going on? Or at the very end, like, hey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on? You can hear those little creaky things. If this is something you do, I challenge you to ask your friends and family around you to point out every time they hear that creaky sound and start to maybe notice it in other people's speaking voices. You definitely will. Vocal fry is unlikely to damage your voice permanently, but it can be exhausting to you and those listening to you, and promotes sloppy, bad technique that can be difficult to reverse. Avoid shouting like this, which is known as hyperfunction, or whispering like this, which is known as hypofunction. Again, both of these extremes promote bad technique and can be really tiring for your voice. Often when people lose their voice, it has nothing to do with singing and everything to do with shouting at a football game or a loud concert or a loud party. So just try to keep yourself in check.
But have fun. Fun's important.
TMJ disorder. The temporomandibular joint is what connects your jaw to your skull. Here's a drawing. Spooky. It connects to your skull right here, kind of like in front of your ear. And there's two things your jaw can do. Your jaw can rotate on the hinge, and it can translate, which means that it actually unhooks out of that joint like this. And it can translate kind of in a vertical way and a horizontal way. And if you look closely right here, where this joint is, as I translate, you can actually see the divot where my jaw normally hooks into my skull. If you try it for yourself, you can actually kind of fit a finger in that space.
It's like my ears are plugged on an airplane.
In general, we want to avoid this translation because the constant kind of going in and out of that joint can damage the cartilage in your joint, or can wear it down and cause pain and discomfort and swelling and all of that kind of stuff. So as you're singing and talking, notice that your jaw is staying in that hinge as you're singing as much as possible. Sometimes it's totally cool to translate our jaw. Obviously, it's built to be able to do that sometimes. The problem happens when it's a habit, when it's something that happens over and over, like a repetitive movement. That's when it'll wear down the cartilage. This is just kind of like a basic part of singing technique, is to have your jaw be relaxed and not be grinding in and out, not having any unnecessary movement side to side, not opening too far, not pushing your jaw forward, all of these kinds of things. To work on this, really the best thing to do is to sing in front of a mirror or to record yourself on camera. If you're not singing in front of a mirror for a certain percentage of your practice time, you're really wasting a lot of potential information that you could be using to help your technique. Before we get to this last part, I just wanted to ask that if you think this video is cool or fun or interesting, that you give it a like and subscribe down below. It helps us out a lot. Getting help. We all need help sometimes, so don't hesitate to ask. If you're having trouble or something doesn't feel right, the first person to talk to is always your voice teacher. This is the person that knows your voice the best and can tell when something has changed. They're there to help you develop ergonomic habits and healthy technique, and they can also point you in the right direction when something has gone beyond their scope of expertise. They should be your first call. But please, if you think you're sick, please call them over the phone instead of going into your lesson. An otolaryngologist, also known as an ENT, is a doctor that deals with disorders, diseases, and injuries of the larynx. If they suspect something is wrong, they'll often do what's called a laryngoscope, otherwise known as just a scope. These are either a fiber optic cable that goes in through your nose or a rigid scope that goes in through the mouth. And this allows a doctor to take a photo or video of your vocal folds while you're speaking or singing. This is a really basic procedure that a lot of people have done, and it's not necessarily a sign that something bigger is wrong. It honestly just can be cool to see your vocal folds while you're singing. It's something that singers 100 years ago weren't able to do. Speech-language pathologists often work hand-in-hand with otolaryngologists. They specialize in the evaluation, diagnosis, and treatment of speech disorders and language disorders, cognitive communication disorders, voice disorders, and swallowing disorders. All these folks work together if something is wrong to make you better. As they say, it takes a village.
It takes a village to raise a voice.
And that's it for vocal health and hygiene. Again, this has been Charlie for 4A Music. If you thought this video was cool, consider giving us a like or subscribing to our channel down below. Thanks for watching. Here's a little bonus tip that I hope none of you need to hear, but that's don't smoke. Cigarette smoking is responsible for more than 480,000 deaths per year in the United States, including more than 41,000 deaths resulting from secondhand smoke exposure. Smoking causes cancer, heart disease, stroke, lung diseases, diabetes, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which includes emphysema or chronic bronchitis. Smoking also increases the risk for tuberculosis, certain eye diseases, and problems of the immune system, including rheumatoid arthritis. Here's a picture of some lungs, the things you need to sing. Take care of them. Yeah, anyway, smoking, super gross. Don't do it. Here's my water bottle. This is cool.